Hi, I'm making a roguelite about a car that can only attack by drifting, and I think that's pretty cool. Not just the idea, but the fact I think I'm actually doing it. I can see the progress being made with every little thing I add. You can also pick up upgrades to add powerful effects to your car, such as having 4 weapons at once, or dropping loads of barrels when you boost. And right now, I'm finishing the demo, including a feature that I actually really love, and I think it'll make the game feel so much more alive. I'm currently at a point where I can play from beginning to end. But it's so close to being a demo, and that's something I desperately need. So let's fix that by adding some more depth to the gameplay by creating some new ways to obtain upgrades, new upgrades altogether, and... Alright, I'll also be adding destructible fences. Nothing actually has collisions. I know, I'm a fraud. I've done this partially because if I add the collisions myself, it would be more optimized instead of using collisions on every object individually. Some objects can be handled by one collider covering multiple objects, but it's also because I just haven't gone around to it yet. If I'm driving a car into a fence, and that's probably going to happen quite often, I fully expect that fence to go flying. So it has to be done. You might think that would be as simple as adding a rigid body, colliders, and enabling gravity. But then you run the issue of having too many physics objects, and your PC will probably explode. To get around this, I need to add physics only when needed. I have a sphere around the object that will activate physics when a vehicle gets within range, and will then add velocity to the object depending on how fast the collided vehicle is going. After a few seconds of physics, the script will deactivate and the object will have physics removed. This would be much better for performance. So now I just need to go through and replace every fence in the level with the destructible fence. But now we can finally break all the fences. What a relief. Now that the fence in the room has been addressed, I have to admit something. I've recently gotten into Risk of Rain 2. So what does this mean and what does it have anything to do with my game? Well, it means I played a great example of the roguelike genre, but more importantly, I played a fun example, and Risk of Rain 2 is very fun. I've learned 2 major things that will apply to my game. I need more upgrades, and I need some options for the player to choose their upgrades. Right now, once the player defeats a wave, they get what they're given. They need to be able to buy upgrades, and they need to be able to pick which upgrades that they're buying. How can you make a build when everything is random? We already have a point system, maybe this is a currency. So how do we spend it? How do we buy upgrades and how do we price them? I'm personally thinking that we should go with a similar mechanic to Muck, Risk of Rain 2, or even Call of Duty Zombies. The player can interact with points in the level to exchange currency for a new upgrade. I only want a few of these per level, as I don't want the player to get too powerful too quickly. But for the demo, I don't think we need to worry about that. We need to give the player that grand feeling of power without having to play through the entire game, as we only have one level. Though we could balance the upgrade with how much they cost, if we need to. I could give these to the player by dropping crates from the sky that when run over cost currency and give the player what was inside. So with that being said, let's get a base crate in and get this whole system set up. We already have a pretty good upgrade system in place. The player drives into a pickup and they get the upgrade. We want the crate to pretty much work in the same way, but needs to check if the player has enough points. And if they do, give them the upgrade. Since we have most of that functionality already, I made a script that spawns a random upgrade from a list, attaches it to the crate, and strips it down for the parts it needs. This way, it will have all the information stored about what the upgrade is, including the text, icon, and the actual effect it has on the player. Then all I had to do was add the ability for it to remove points from the player. It worked in no time at all. Then spawning them into the level was also quite easy, as it's pretty much the same system that our end of wave upgrade uses. It just creates more than one at a time. So now we have a way to gain upgrades, but I have to admit, I'm a little bored of the 3 upgrades we have. Let's double it. Behold, safety saw blades. Add an orbiting saw blade to the vehicle that would damage enemies on hit. Lubricated bullets. Increase the fire rate with each stack, enabling you to deal more damage over time. External fuel tank. Increase the amount of boost juice available, allowing you to boost for longer periods of time. And reinforced plating. Add armor to the car that increases the player's max health, enabling you to take more damage before death. And yes, they are all stackable and even grant physical differences to the car, which means that I can go from this to this. I want the car to look like an absolute pile of gadgets and gizmos by the end of this, so much so that you won't even recognize the car anymore. We are definitely heading in the right direction now that we have 7 upgrades, but we're going to need a lot more of these before we see the real benefit. But it will do for now, but I will be adding more over time. With those new upgrades and the new upgrade system, there's only one thing missing from the demo: dialogue. You might be thinking that's quite a random addition considering the genre, but I wanted to add some depth to the game world, and I think using the bosses to tell a story is a great way to do it. This is something I've wanted in for a while. I like it when games give their enemies a bit more depth by using them as characters instead of just another AI to be bonked. In fact, I've got a story to tell with this game. It starts in a barn and it ends by saving the past and future of mankind from death and boredom. I can't wait to see it come to life. Making the text was actually really difficult and took me a really long time to do it. Alright, so I didn't actually know how to do this, so I just used a tutorial made by Blackthorn Prod, but it worked really well. I did adapt it though, so I added sounds which pick the picture at random, as well as an icon that moves when a letter is added. I also added animations to bring the text box in and out of view. I'm quite happy with the results, and with that, the demo is pretty much done. We're at a good point. I have a few bugs to fix before I can make it public, but just know that I will have something together pretty soon for you to play. A demo is on the way, so keep an eye out for an announcement. Fixing these bugs just isn't very exciting, so that's why I'll be doing it behind the scenes, as well as creating a website that people can use to gain information about the game. Also, so that everyone is in the loop, I've had a few calls over the past 2 weeks going over the pitch deck, and I've got some really good feedback to work on, so I'll be working on that before I take it to publishers. But soon, I'll be ready to take the next big step. Let me know what you think about the game, and also let me know what you think of the devlog, because I'm making this up as I go along. And I really appreciate any feedback, as I think it's the best way to improve. So with that being said, have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you all next time.